There we go. Good morning, everybody. I'm Barry Broad, a member of the Agricultural Labor Relations Board, and I'm here with Ralph Lightstone, my colleague on the board, and we have been appointed by the board to convene a subcommittee to look at whether we should amend our regulations. And in doing so, we're basically open to all ideas. And what we've done is convene this workshop as an informal way for the public to come forward with any ideas, suggestions, concerns regarding our regulations, how they should change, whether they work well or don't work well. It could be, there's no limit to this discussion. A member of the public can come up with new ideas for things that aren't in our regulations at all, or things that need to be fixed in our regulations, don't work properly anymore, are antiquated, refer to, outmoded technology and so forth. We're basically here to listen. We do not have the authority to take action on any of these suggestions, but we will report back to the full board, which then can take action as to whether to propose changes to our regulations. Any member of the public is free to send in written proposals to change regulations if they so desire, which we will act on upon receipt of those. So with that, I'm going to turn to our executive director, Santiago Aviles Gomez, who's going to talk about the translation feature of the meeting. And then after that, if there are members of the public here, then we will hear what they have to say.
Thank you, Barry. So just a brief housekeeping. If you require Spanish language translation, we do have a translation feature available via the Zoom app. Towards the bottom right of your screen, you'll see a globe that you can elect your language as English or Spanish. Even if you don't need the translation, I suggest you elect English to ensure that you have the audio feed from the board members. Separately, for members of the public, you're welcome to indicate that you have a comment by using the chat feature, raising your hand, or otherwise indicating with any of the reactions that you have a comment that you wish to make. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, if there are any members of the public who would like to make comments or raise questions or should make suggestions, we're all ears. Santiago, is there anybody in the queue?
Not at the moment. I'm watching my chat box as well as the screen. If anyone would like to comment, please feel free to indicate either on screen or by unmuting yourself, and we'll make note of your wish to comment.
All right, we'll wait a couple of minutes, and if we don't hear of anything, then the meeting is concluded, and we'll just have to report back to the board that the world is perfect. At least our regulations. Everybody loves them, or nobody's excited enough about them to comment.
call again for anyone who wishes to provide public comment. Please do so either by unmuting yourself, indicating you would like to make a comment, use the chat feature, or any other reactions available to you via the Zoom tool. And that could be anything from applause to a happy face to a raised hand. Thank you.
So I take it there is nobody in the queue?
That's correct. Board Member Broad, no one is indicating that they wish to make public comment at this time.
Okay, well, I guess at this point then we will adjourn the meeting. We came, we saw, we didn't see anything.
Two more minutes. Well, it's 10:06. We could give a couple more.
Okay, we'll give it a couple of, well, Mr. Lightstone suggests a couple of more minutes, so we'll wait a couple of more minutes in uncomfortable silence, and then we'll gavel this thing to a conclusion.
We have one more member of the public that I'm admitting now.
Okay.
Good morning, Ms. Toledo. Welcome to our Regulation Subcommittee meeting. I just briefly want to catch you up.
Good morning.
Where we're at. Thank you. If you wish to make a comment, please feel free to do so. The Regulation Subcommittee is taking public comment now, and you're welcome to do so.
So let me ask our new guest if she intends to make public comment.
Oh, no, I was listening. I was more interested in listening in.
Speaking, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're it. So.
Oh, I am. Okay.
You have our rapt attention if you have anything to say, but if you would just like to listen, then we're probably going to just adjourn the meeting because there were no other comments made, so.
Okay. Well, I do have some comments, but I'm unfortunately not as well organized as I intended to be. So is it okay if I speak generally?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Okay. So my area of concern is in terms of the delays between ULPs being filed, the investigation, and the issuing of complaints. That's been an ongoing issue, and I know it's been before the board a few times, but I think it's a disservice both to employers and workers that, for example, an unfair labor practice charge gets filed, and then 4 years later, a complaint is issued, or 3 years later. And I don't know how the regulations may address that. I wish the regulations had some kind of time limits within reason for the general counsel to issue complaints. So that's my, I guess, general comment.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that comment. That issue has arisen certainly, and is one that we've, considered as a board. So obviously, if you have a specific proposal to make, you can always submit it to the board, but we will report your suggestion back to the full board when we give our report to them as to the activities of our subcommittee. And so we actually appreciate that you making those comments. Do you have anything else you wish to add?
No, the only question I have is, do you want me to say this regulations specifically could address the timing issue, or is what I've commented on sufficient for the issue to be raised before the board?
Oh, I think what you've said is sufficient to raise the issues.
Okay.
My only suggestion is if we go forward, we can either, if we so desire, can propose a regulation, or a member of the public can propose a regulation. So, for example, if you had a suggestion as to a specific time frame or something of that sort, if you wish to write us to, your views on that, you're certainly free to do so. If we do move forward with a formal reg package on this, obviously, and we would have to at least make an initial proposal of what we thought was an appropriate time period.
Yeah, I certainly have an opinion about that. I think 12 months, given the seasonality of farm workers, I think 12 months is an appropriate time frame, and everyone on this call is familiar with the issue of seasonal workforces. So that would be my suggestion. But
Okay. Ralph, do you have any questions?
No, I think it's a concern that lots of people share with you. So
Yeah.
I do think we need to address the problem you've raised in some fashion and make sure that we don't, because inordinate delays, I think everyone would agree, inordinate delays between the filing of a charge and the determination to issue or not issue a complaint are bad for everybody.
Right.
So,
yeah, personally, I agree. And well, I actually raised the question in a concurring opinion. So I've already on record saying that I think we should do something in this area. So I do appreciate your comments, and thank you for coming today.
yeah,
You are the public.
I'm surprised I'm the only one here.
That's right. So you're getting an inordinate amount of attention. We're laser focused on your views.
Okay, well, since I have your ear, and the only other comment I would make is, at least based on my experience representing employers, at least as far as I'm concerned in the way I work, I don't feel like it's the employers delaying being responsive to the general counsel's investigation. It's not unusual for us to submit documents and there's nothing for 4 or 5 months. So I'll just throw that additional piece in, that I do not think it's lack of cooperation, at least based on my own experience from my side, from the employers sign. And if there is no cooperation, the general counsel knows pretty quickly that that's the employer's intention. But that certainly has not been my practice or experience.
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So, having been a, lawyer myself for my career, in a situation where you do something and your side just wants the whole thing to go away, it's probably also not, my own response in that sort of situation is not to sort of goose the bear, so to speak, and call up and say, hey, I gave you stuff, like what are you doing here? When am I going to hear?
Mm-hmm.
Because then you sort of feel like they might get mad at you and move forward. Is that your general sense of it? So it just all just kind of sits there in silence?
Yes, and the Salinas office certainly knows that I'm the one frequently calling them saying, hey, what's the status? We haven't heard anything. What do you need? We gave you the stuff. So actually, the majority of my clients don't appreciate silence. They rather just know what they're dealing with, one way or the other. It's not, like I said, it's not infrequent that I contact whatever attorney from the Salinas office, which is the one I deal with the most, and ask them, what's the status? What's the status every few months? And then the response is, we're still investigating. So, it's frustrating. It's just very frustrating.
And your general view is that 12 months would be inappropriate?
I mean, I believe
Length
so,
of time.
absent extenuating, I can't think of a circumstance where, at least from my side, based on what I'm dealing with, I don't understand why it would take longer than that. Because 1 year covers, let's say somebody files something in the middle of a season and they get laid off, for example, or they leave the area, within a 12-month period, they're usually back. So I don't see why an investigation can be completed within 1 year, in most occasions.
Okay, thank you. You got anything else?
No, that's why I'm on this call. That was top of mind, and I did intend to send a communication about it. That's it.
Okay, all right, well, thank you very much for your input. We really appreciate it, and it's, you always want to throw a party where at least somebody comes. So we have an outsized appreciation for your participation.
Thank you.
All right, if there are, Santiago, is there anyone else that has showed up in the meantime?
No, there's not.
Okay, with that then, I think we will stand adjourned, and we will report our findings to the full board at the next available opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.